Woohoo! Yay! I made it. And so did you. Good evening, my friends. It's me, KP. I'm here in my studio, the Moon and the Maker, home of Artfoamies, and I'm here for Artfoamy Fun Friday. And it seems that you are also. Yay! Let's say hello to everyone. Catherine is here, Anita, Bernadette, Terry Moore is here, Pam Shales, Natalie is here, Kay, Michelle, welcome. I've missed you. It's great to see you. Patty is here. Mystic Images. And I'm so sorry. Tell me again, tell me again your name. I'm so sorry. Carmen is here. Donna. Did I already say? I said hi to Anita already. All right. So, yes, it has been, oh my gosh, it is so hot here today. I was literally melting. And then we had a huge storm, pouring rain. I mean, just pouring. And for a while, too, it didn't pass that quickly. And now it's cooled down, and I actually had to turn off the fan and put on a little sweater. Anyway, Audrey, yes, thank you. I'm sorry. It gets me so confused. And I have my other friend is, oh gosh, now I can't think of the name of her art studio, and I get them confused. My friend Patty has, anyway, my mind is a blank. Judy is here. Welcome from Pensacola. And AG, who's AG? Is it Anne? Am I too quiet? Can you hear me okay? Terry says, is anyone else having not hearing KP very well? Is the sound, maybe, is your volume turned up, Terry? Okay. Puffer. All right, I'm going to turn the camera around. Welcome again. Okay, good. Yeah, Terry, maybe turn up your volume a little bit. I wanted to wish you all a wonderful watercolor month. This is World Watercolor Month, and I don't know how many of you know. Oh, Amy, sorry. Anyway, how many of you know that I usually do celebrate World Watercolor Month every month, or not every month, every July, sorry. And I celebrate by watercoloring almost every day. And so last week, I'm going to turn the camera around. We're going to talk about it. We are offering a discount just because you know what? Look, times are tight. Inflation is high. I know this. We feel it. Everybody feels it. So we have not raised our prices at Artfoamies. And we do like to offer specials in order to help you get the Artfoamies that you want to have. So it is 20% off tonight on your Artfoamies order. I don't remember the code right now, Mr. Moon, or somebody will type it in. It is in the newsletter. So if you're signed up for the newsletter, you should get the code. We do send a newsletter out every Friday. And usually just as a reminder that it's Artfoamy Fun, and then if there's any sort of special or discount. One of the other reasons I want you to know that we are not running any other specials right now, why we are running a special to celebrate World Watercolor Month, yes, and to help you get the Artfoamies that you want, yes, but also because we are going to be having a pop-up shop starting on the 21st, so you'll be hearing more about that. We are going to be having a fun artist that you love, and it's going to be on the 21st. It will only run for a week. And you know there's no discounts or specials on the pop-up. So we're trying to, sort of just give you a little special now, okay? So because we won't be running one on the 21st. Yay, yes, Amy, mine too. Thank you, Bernadette. You are so awesome. WWCM, so World Watercolor Month 20 is the discount code. Okay, please use it at checkout. All right, I'm going to turn the camera around and we're going to talk about watercolor. And of course, if you have any questions or, just anything, let me know. So last week, I don't know if you all joined me or not, but we did start this piece sort of to celebrate the Frida Fiesta, or, to, again, just do another demonstration using our Frida stamps because They were just fantastic. And we will still be offering some different Frida demos. I don't know if all of you heard, but we are going to be doing another follow-up Frida Fiesta in August. I don't have the exact date yet, so please just be watching for that if you're interested, because I know many of you did miss the Frida Fiesta. And so I wanted to be able to, you know, to share some more things with you, because many of you didn't necessarily get your Frida stamps in time. And so I just want to make sure that you all, you know, that we share the love. So anyway, this was done using Megan Quinlan's large Frida with antlers, but obviously I did not use the antlers. I did use Joni Hallmark's part of her border stamp here in the body. And I did use my flower crown from the Heart Trio set, or I don't know the name of it, but I should know the names, but I don't. Nancy Gray, I was thinking of you today because I was sorting all sorts of niches, and I was just thinking about you. So I'm glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Terry Dye, thank you so much. Yes, this is a fun project. We did, so for those of you who are my patrons, if you join me for the after party, lots of times what we do is we go to the after party after Artfoamy Fun Friday, and then we finish up a project, or we just chit chat and, you know, talk about artsy stuff, getting makey. It's a pretty fun time, so hopefully you will join me over there. The after party will be at 5 directly following this Artfoamy Fun. So for any of my patrons that want to come to the after party, I hope that you will come. You should have received a Zoom invitation. Okay. Anyway, back to watercolor. This is done. I did use Radiant watercolor concentrates on this piece with a little bit of mixture of regular black watercolor. And then you can see a little bit of white gouache, okay? And it is regular gouache, not acrylic gouache, okay? And the difference between regular gouache and acrylic gouache is that regular gouache is more of a watercolor. It's going to be more like an opaque watercolor. Acrylic gouache has an acrylic element to it that is going to make it more permanent when it dries. Okay, just so you can kind of know the difference, because it does get a little bit confusing. Linda Finney is in the house. Welcome. Oh my gosh, thanks for coming. Nice to see you. I hope you're feeling better. Deborah Bergstrom, yay, thanks for coming also. All right, so if you were here last week, then you know this was done using watercolor canvas. Okay, and I'm going to show that to you again, because it's something sort of new, and I do really enjoy working on it, okay? If you were here again, then you know I use these same technique. I know it looks completely different, but it is the same materials on these two pieces as on this Frida piece, and using all the same watercolor canvas. Mostly the same watercolors, okay? And I did use a Lyra graphite stick to apply my actual image, okay? So something like this. And you've seen me do it many times before, all right? So I wanted to just go over this again and talk about a few different ways that you can achieve similar effects. And I wanted to talk about using Artfoamies with watercolor specifically, okay? So this is the watercolor canvas. Now, this is the only brand that I'm aware of. It's fairly new on the market, okay? It's Frederick's, and it is watercolor canvas. So what that means, it is a canvas, you know, material, but it has been primered with a watercolor medium that will accept your watercolors, okay? So again, it's going to look similar. I'm just going to pull this out. Here's my watercolor canvas, and then here is a regular canvas pad. So this one, if you can see when I put it up close, does have a little bit more tooth. Okay, this is a little more finer weave, so it's not quite as textural. The difference is, of course, again, this is just a regular canvas panel, or canvas canvas material, or primed canvas material. It will not hold your watercolor. Okay, so what you could do though, if you just have regular primed canvas, or maybe it's not primed, okay, it'll say on whatever you purchase, it'll say if it's gessoed or primed or whatever. Okay, so this is primed, and you can also tell by the color. It's so bright white. All right, also I'm sharing with you, this is unprimed canvas. It looks a lot more just like material, okay, like cotton duck or something like that. But here's one that is also primed with gesso. Again, gets a little bit confusing, but if you know, obviously, that this is watercolor canvas, then that's what you're going to use straight out of the tablet with your watercolors, okay? If you don't have this and you want to turn some sort of material or canvas or primed canvas into, yes, oh good, Amy, don't be intimidated. It's only, I say it's only paper, it's only canvas. Look, even if you make the biggest mess in the world, okay, a couple things I want to say about that. First of all, if you don't venture onto it, you will stay intimidated, okay? So you must get some color on there, okay? It'll get easier, as you know, once you get going, okay? So, don't be afraid. That's all I'm going to say. I know it's easier said than done, but just splash some color on there. Just think of it. You're only going to use one sheet. It didn't cost you $100 a sheet or whatever. Even if it did, you got to use it. All right. So have fun and play. And even if it doesn't come out the way you hope or the way you envision, look, you can layer over it. You can do mixed media over the top. You can splash more watercolor. Okay. So just think of it as, one, you're enjoying your materials. Two, you're practicing and playing and allowing yourself to have that time, okay, and use your materials, okay? So, because that you will just stay intimidated if you just keep looking at that white space, right? Okay. So, I know you already know that, but I'm just giving you the pep talk. Oh, gosh. Linda Finney, you're so funny. And also, Linda, I'm so sorry to hear about your dad. No, no, no. Please be well, get well, and I'm thinking of your dad and you. So, I'm back to the regular canvas, and the reason I'm pulling out the regular canvas, okay, uh-oh, those lines came back. Oh my goodness, something's happening with my camera. I got to put something here to make those lines. I don't know what's going on. Wendy, yay! All right, so I'm sorry, something's going on with my camera where I have these weird shadowy lines. I don't know why. It's driving me crazy, and it just started, and we can't figure it out. So hopefully it won't drive you too crazy, and I may have to get a new camera, folks. It's probably time anyway. This one's pretty old. All right. So now that's going to drive us all crazy, right? Let's see. Sometimes when I put something here, it makes it better. All right. So if you have a regular canvas, I'm just going to turn this back around so you can see it. This is the regular canvas pad, not watercolor. You're going to want to take something like this core watercolor grounds, okay, and paint it on there. You're going to follow the manufacturer's directions, and you're going to apply 2 to 3 layers and let dry for 24 to 72 hours. And it's going to turn it into a watercolor surface, okay? I've done that with a lot of different things. I've done it with shoes. I don't know how many of you saw my watercolor shoes. I've done it here, and I've shared this with you already before. I still haven't finished this. This votive candle. You can see where I painted on the watercolor grounds. Now this does look like gesso, It is not gesso, okay? It is called watercolored grounds. It also is known as absorbent ground, and it does create a watercolor surface, okay? Oh, Catherine. Well, that's what it is. Guess so. So it must be time for a new camera because it just all of a sudden happened one day, randomly. All right. So, also, I just wanted to share with you again that this watercolor canvas does come in stretched canvas. So, on something that's ready to pretty much be hung. Okay. And I did purchase a large roll. This is a huge roll. I'm going to be cutting it up and obviously sharing it probably, this is so long. I don't even know if you can see how long this is. It's like 7 feet long. And it is a roll of watercolor canvas. So if you, want to do really large pieces, or if you want to cut your own, different shapes and sizes, it's great as well. But of course, I also love working on paper, and one of the reasons why one of Terry Moore, you're so funny. Huh. Anyway, one of the reasons why I wanted, no, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. One of the reasons why I wanted to share with you so much about watercolor and World Watercolor Month is because Artfoamies go with watercolor. What did Maxie say? Like peanut butter and jelly. So I want to share and show you a couple things. I didn't make myself any watercolor canvas. I just wanted to show you that this is a way that you can watercolor on all sorts of surfaces if you prepare it with this stuff. Okay? So I am going to take a piece first of watercolor canvas. We'll do a piece of canvas first, and then we'll also do it on paper. All right, we're just going to do a couple little experiments. I do have, and I'm going to cut this in half. I don't need a full piece. I'm going to go cut this in half, and then I'm also going to take a piece of hot press watercolor paper and a piece of cold press watercolor paper. Go grab a piece of cold press. And you all know the difference between hot press and cold press. Hot press is smooth, and if you think of ironing something, it's hot, you iron it, it makes it smooth. If you think of cold press, you think of being cold, you think of goosebumps, you think textured, okay? So cold press, textured, hot press, smooth, okay? Also, the weight of the paper does make a little bit of a difference. I just realized this is just 90 pounds, so it's a little bit thin. I want to get a little bit thicker paper. This one's 140 pound. I think you can probably see and visualize the difference in the weights, okay? This one's much, much heftier. So I'm going to go grab another piece of hot press paper. I'll be right back. Oh, sorry about that. It's great in my new studio. Well, not new studio, my old new studio. It's new to me now again. I just moved back in here. I know where everything is pretty much. Like I can, oh my gosh, it's feels so organized, but I kept pulling out 90 pound instead of 140. And look, it's my last piece of 140 pound. All right, so again, the weight does make a little bit of a difference, so I wanted it to be a little bit thicker. Again, this is the watercolor canvas. We cut it in half. All right, I just didn't need that much. And I just want to show you, we're going to do a couple things. I'm going to pull out, oh gosh, and I want to let you know, I have a few different Artfoamies. I have, I think this is, I don't know, Julie Balzer's Mixed Up Numbers. I believe this is Gina Aaron's Small, Long, and Leafy. This is Maxie Moon's Small Monstera Leaf. This is called, I think this is called Dino Skin, and I believe it's by Julie Balzer also. And then I did bring out Elizabeth St. Hilaire's Calavera. This is from the Frida collaboration. They're all new, okay? For this technique, I want my Artfoamies to be really fresh. Now, they don't have to be new, but they should be really clean and dry. So if if you're good about cleaning your Artfoamies and not having them stained, that's great. They should be dry and kind of fresh for this technique, okay? So one of the things I love about them, and I'm going to use a variety of watercolors to show you this. Let's see what color I have here. I think I'm going to use this olive green. And this is, again, the Peerless Transparent Watercolor Concentrate. It's more of a dye-based watercolor. This is not something that I would generally use if I want something that is going to stay light fast. Okay, it's not a professional watercolor for, like if you were going to paint something and hang it or sell it, this is not what I would use. This is great for reproductions, okay, but it does have a tendency to fade, all right? Ooh, that's a makey, Linda. All right, I'm going to just paint on some color right onto my surface here. And I think I'm just going to do a little, we'll do part and then another part. I'll do a little square. This is wonderful for, and this works on paper. I'm going to be doing it on paper as well. But it just gives you a different look. So I love that. So it's nice and wet. And you can use traditional watercolor also. I'm going to do a little of each and I'll show it to you. So I chose a dark color just so that you'd really be able to see it pull out. And so I'm going to take this nice clean Monstera leaf and I'm just going to, the nice thing about it is the Artfoamies sort of, they're a little bit absorbent, especially when they're fresh and new and they haven't had any acrylic or anything on them, right? So I'm going to use that. I can also spritz it. Now it's pretty wet, so it might take a little bit. I maybe should have let it set up a little bit longer, but you'll get the idea. This is wonderful too with a background stamp, okay? And you can see the nice thing about it is I can actually get enough so it's still a little bit too wet. Sometimes you can, your lines are back. I don't see them now, Terry. Isn't that funny? They're not on my screen right now. Anyway, this was, again, a little bit too wet still, but I can hold it there and I will be able to pull color out. And I'm going to, rather than doing one stamp, I'm just going to do it with this background. And then So you can let it dry a little bit more, okay? And that's what I love. And you can use this to go. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not really holding the pattern too well right now. That's okay though. You will get almost like some batik-y like, I don't really know how to explain it very well, but you get like a, almost like a batik look, and you can keep going back over it. You do want to stamp off because it's absorbing some of the, see, right now it's not holding my pattern very well, but if I had let it dry a little bit longer, it will hold better. I'm going to also use, I'm just going to take one of these little ink picks and see if I can get, there's a hair on there. I'll pull that up. Yeah. So those are all coming back in. You can see where it held a little bit, right? So I'll just keep stamping off and using it. And then the nice thing is I can also come back in as it starts to set up with another color, and you just get these beautiful layers and these beautiful sort of, I don't know, just subtle patterns. And again, it almost has a little bit of a batik-y sort of look, or almost like you know, maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say, they don't look like saved whites because it doesn't get your paper all the way back to white, but oftentimes it just makes such beautiful patterning. You want to be a little bit patient, I guess, which I'm not very good at, but you get the idea. So again, your art foamy is for as much, you know, putting color down. You can also remove color with it, and I love that. Okay, so again, you might have to keep going over it a little bit, but you can see some of those really cool patterns. Now, if I even take and I would let this dry just a little bit more, okay? I can also, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to take this leaf and I'm going to actually spritz it with a little rubbing alcohol here, little 91%. Just give it a little spritz. You can see it's a little bit wet there, and see if I can remove even more color with that. And sometimes the alcohol will actually make it sort of spread a little bit, so you'll get a really interesting texture over that, right? So we'll do it again. And once again, I don't want it to be too wet with the alcohol because I don't want it to spread a lot. Okay, but you'll see that. So do a little bit more. And a little more subtlety depending on, you know, how much alcohol you use and also how hard I stamp. Now, I got a little sloppier here. I was a little more careful. So again, just kind of depends on the pressure and the amount of alcohol that you put on there. So that's kind of a cool thing. And then I also do like to go back in once this would be dry. I like to go back in even with another little bit of color. So you know, it could go in with another green. I could go in with some yellow, or maybe if I really want to be crazy, I could go in with some bright pink or something, you know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking right now. Let's try, I don't know, maybe even a little bit of gold, something fun like that, you know? Trying to think what would show up on here. I'm just going to try a little of this blue. And for this, this is a bright blue. I'm going to go ahead and put it on a scrap buddy. And I guess I'll just go over my leaves again since they got a little bit sloppy. They give them a little bit more sort of definition, and it, you know, it'll make the back layer, that sort of whited out layer, look almost, you know, like, again, it reminds me of batiking, but it also could be just a little bit of a, like a shadow layer, you know. So that's something I love. I do love layering my watercolors, and I do love using my Artfoamies with watercolor, both again as an, you know, adding color and subtracting. The great thing is you can use your stamp or scrap buddies to apply your watercolor, okay, rather than trying to apply it with the brush. And then this is fun too, because, you know, and I know many of you are doing fodder school, so you can do some really fun pieces of canvas fodder using your Artfoamies and your watercolor. So here I would have a really fun little cover, or, you know, at least the start of a cover for a journal, or a great little background for maybe a mixed media piece. But you get the idea, right? And really beautiful layers. And I would even probably keep layering on this. I do think some gold watercolor would look beautiful on that. And then here I have another start to something else, right? So I'll set that aside, and I'm going to show you similar stuff on paper, okay? Let's do that again. Let's get our hot press paper this time. Again, I'm just going to cut this in half because I don't need a whole... Yes, Nancy says subtle is my favorite style. It is. It's really subtle, but, you know, this is nice because, again, you could either layer something on top. Here, well, here's a piece I actually wanted to show you, sort of a finished. This is watercolor on canvas using a little bit. You can see where it kind of grabbed, and that's with the watercolor grounds. Okay, this is on regular canvas. I stamped in watercolor grounds and let it dry, and then I did just a little wash of color, and so that's wherever it grabbed that sort of quinacridone gold. So it's a really subtle, but it works. So this is something I would, you know, use this piece for, right? And the nice thing about when you work on canvas, if I just tore this, if I cut this a little bit, okay, I think it'll work with this too. If I just put a cut like that, I can tear it, okay, and I can get those really nice torn edges, okay? So I don't even have to cut it. Start it and then rip it, and then you can get a whatever sizes that you like, and generally it rips pretty straight, so... And then I'd have a nice piece I could mount right on a canvas and create a little mixed media piece, or this would go great in a journal. All right, so, you know, you can also start with, you know, your gel press plate if you wanted to start with some color on there first, right? Gel press plate and watercolor with watercolor canvas are fantastic. Hi, Maxie Moon. It's okay. I wasn't thinking you were going to be here, but thanks for coming. How's Marin? I was using your Monstera leaf. Anyway, all right. So let me cut this in half. I have some hot press paper here. This time we're going to do a little bit different. I am going to put down some color. I'm going to use my traditional watercolor now. Yes, Maxie is the best sister in the world and one of the best daughters. I have two best daughters, but definitely she does win the best sister of the year award for sure. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put down some watercolor, and I'm going to use, let's see. I'm going to use this, which one am I going to use? Let's use a phthalo blue, okay? I'm going to use phthalo blue green shade just because it's a nice, beautiful, bright blue. It'll show up nicely. So I do want to mention, and of course, if you have any questions, especially specifically related to watercolor, it is my favorite medium. I am a golden artist educator and a core artist educator, which I'm super excited about. I've been a golden artist educator since 2019, and since 2018, and then in early 2019, they asked me if I wanted to be a core artist educator as well, which I was super honored and excited about because core was fairly new and they had not had any other core artist educators. So I was in the very first group of their watercolor artist educators. So that was super exciting and it's an honor. I do need to tell you whenever I do share the Golden products, whether it's their acrylic line or their watercolor line, that I do get a small amount of compensation because we just have to let everyone know and be transparent in that. So I'm not paid directly with money, just with product. And I would do it for free because I love Golden's products, specifically their core watercolor. And the reason for that, they call it a modern watercolor. And the reason they call it modern watercolor is because it has a different type of binder that is not found in other watercolors. Okay, it keeps it cleaner. It's a synthetic binder and it's just beautiful. It keeps your colors really bright. And I just love it. Anyway, I just wanted to coat this entire piece with this phthalo blue shade, okay? And as you can see, it's really wet right now. And I'm going to take this number stamp, all right? And this time, though, I'm going to spritz it. Well, I think I'm actually going to take a little bit of a spray of water on my scrap buddy here. And I just spritz that a little bit. And I'm going to take a yellow. I think I want... And I'm going to get it directly from the tube here. I want to use, let's see. The color I'm actually looking for is cadmium yellow primrose, because it's kind of a bright, like almost like a fluorescent, almost, or it has a little bit of a greenish cast to it. And so I'm going to squeeze a little here onto my scrap buddy. And I want to go right onto this number stamp. And I do think it would also be fun, and I might still, to mix and match colors right on here. I could put different colors, pinks and green. I don't know if I wanted to make it really fun and bright. I could do different colors. But right now I just want it to be easy. So I want to try to get a nice even coverage on here. And the other thing is, it's kind of important that this be still a little bit wet. Not, you don't want it soaking wet, but you can still see there's a sheen there. And I'm going to stamp wet on wet. Okay, so it's kind of fun. Again, it's best if your paper just has a little bit of a sheen and you don't see puddles on there. And look how beautiful. And what's nice about it too is that your color or your art foamy sort of pushes away some of the color or even sucks up a little bit of the color. So you're getting a little bit of like this nice white glowing edge. Isn't that so fun? So I wanted to, and then it's also picking up other colors. All right, when I do that, picked up a little bit of the blue on there. So you're gonna get some variance, okay? So I spritzed my stamp again, re-ink it again. You could also even go in with another color, a different color. I think that Opera Rose would be wonderful. Catherine, I wanted to ask how you're feeling. If you are recovered from your fall. Just love it. Love, love, love it. And it's going to be different each time. I'm going to go ahead and since, you know, I was just thinking about it, I want to mix in a little bit of my Opera Pink, my Opera Rose. So I'm going to grab oh, I couldn't find my colors, but here, I found them. Now, sadly, I will say, and I've been asking Golden to please come out with Opera Rose forever, but I don't think they necessarily listen to me. But I am using a Winsor Newton Opera Rose because sadly Core does not have it, at least not yet. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to use the side that has a little bit of blue on there, but that's okay. If it mixes, you know, all that's going to happen is I'm going to get a little bit of purple, and I'm going to get some other variants anyway because I'm going right over this dirty stamp, okay? So it doesn't, I don't mind if it has some yellow in there or mixes to be orange or whatever, or is speckly, that's fine. I like it. And we'll just see how that turns out, okay? Again, if you feel like it's kind of dry, and especially if your paper down here is getting dry, you can always spritz your stamp a little bit extra. Okay, so I spritzed it up with some water, and here we go. And you can see I didn't re-ink it because I kind of wanted it to get lighter, okay? Let's spritz it one more time. I still have the same amount on there. I'm just going to spritz it and use it one last time over, or maybe not maybe one last time, but a couple times. Let's try it that way. So, right, what a beautiful background. Now, the fun thing about this is that it is watercolor, right? So I can actually go on here and add more color if I want to. I can smush the colors. I could take something a little, I could, you know, I mean, the sky is really the limit. You know, I talk about layering all the time. So you can go in and I could even layer some more color, or I could paint around some of these numbers. I can brighten it up if I want to. I can smush it around, make it not look so perfectly stampy too. You know, I like to sometimes squish stuff a little bit to just do little overlayers, right? I always say, and I know you've heard me say this before, and I'll say it again, you can't fake the layers. So this is just something you could have a lot of fun manipulating and just seeing where it would take you. And of course, it doesn't have to be with the numbers, right? You can do it with whatever imagery that you want. And all that's going to happen if I go over, is that it's going to, I'm going to get some other sort of color combinations, or some of that blue is catching around those edges. So it's just fun, and it's experimental, and something that really you can make it your own in a unique way. And that's why I love it. And again, this is going to give you also a completely different look. Really, I don't know about completely different, but a pretty different look on the hot press as opposed to the cold press. So if you want, actually what I'll do is I will take and do a very similar thing right onto the cold press paper as well. And I would just, if I'm sitting here not doing a demonstration, I'm just doing this for, maybe a journal page, or I'm working on some artwork. This will be my fun time to just sit and, watch the colors sort of flow and just see how I might want to change things up or move things or make better gradients or whatever, right? But remember, thirsty brush, you can pull some of the color out and, just keep relayering like that. Yeah, kind of like a shadow, but it makes it a little bit, I don't know, dimensional. And I like that sort of very, I don't know, again, reminds me of somewhat like batik-y, little, those saved whites where it pulled that color out. I just love the way that looks. All right, so there again is a first piece that we did. And again, this can be just a base layer. I can still stamp or cut. Like, I think this looks a little dull. If I want to brighten this up with a little green gold, ooh, a little green gold on there would be so beautiful. Let's see how I could just pull a little more color into that and change it up. So again, if you don't, and this is the thing, if you don't like something that you did, and who is, oh, Amy. Amy's the one who said, like she's just intimidated a little bit, and that's understandable. But you know what? Don't be, because you can see how many more layers you can do and how many different things, you could pull out, stencils. If you don't like the imagery, pull out a stencil and stencil on there, or, the possibilities are just limitless, right? More color, more squishing. So lots of times Artfoamies for me, and I love, I love my Artfoamies and my rubber stamps too, but I never use them, or I shouldn't say never. Oftentimes I don't use them in a super literal way. Like, I will start out that way, but it ends up, I love to sort of figure out ways to really change it up and really make it my own. And what's nice is, you can still see some of that original pattern, right? And if I don't like some of those hard lines, I can go back in with a little water or a thirsty brush and smoosh them around some more, So have fun with that. And definitely, you'll learn so much about, again, how wet you want your paper, when do you want to stamp into it, how dry do you want it, etc., etc. So anyway, all right. I could play with that all evening. We're going to do one more piece here on a piece of cold press. And again, this is the one with the bumps. Can you see that? Let me cut this in half. And this one I might do a couple different ways because I'm going to do one very similar to what we just did, so you could see the difference on the cold and wet, the cold and hot press paper. Yes, you can use Dr. P.H. Martin's for sure. I didn't have any inks. This is all watercolor, but this, like when I said this watercolor is well, this is Dr. P.H. Martin's Radiant Watercolor Concentrates, which are almost the same. You know, very, very similar as the Nicholson's Peerless, okay? These are in the same category, all right? But I'm going to do one very similar to this, just so you can see the difference on the cold and hot press paper. So this was hot press. I'm working on cold press right now. I'm going to do even a same color on the background. And sometimes I will tell you, it does help to spritz your paper a little bit first. Helps to sort of open up the pores of the paper so that it accepts your color nicely, rather than going straight to your paper with any ink or, you know, not ink, but paint on your brush. Because sometimes when you have a dry piece of paper, it will just grab it so quickly, and then you'll get some striations or some markings that you may not want. If you want you know, really smooth watercolor, then a lot of times you want to prepare it by putting down a little bit of water first. You can see it really spread on there. And I think you also can see, really, without me even explaining, the texture, the little pockets that sort of form where it grabs your pigment and your water. And that is the difference in the hot and cold press paper. So you will see a little bit more, almost like, I don't know how else to describe it besides just saying texture, right? And for this, my stamp is dirty now. I'm just going to go ahead and go with it. I'm going to just go in and maybe pull up some color. I will reapply color and put it back down. This is a little bit wet right now. If I do that now, it's going to spread and not be nearly as crisp as what you see here. All right. And this is kind of fun because I am getting a more, you know, variegated colors, because I have a little bit of that pink, I have a little bit of the yellow, and then I also have some of the blue that's been pulled up. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do it one more time again, just to keep it sort of, you know, have a little unity. Terry says, oh, those golden flat things. Are you talking about the So Flats, Terry? And I know you said you didn't like them as much. Now, those are acrylic, okay? And I know that you like things shinier. You don't really like the matte. The nice thing that you could do is, the nice thing about the matte acrylic is it all dries one finish. So then, if you do want it shinier, you could always spray it with a shiny varnish, a glossy varnish. The great thing about that is that they all will stay pretty consistent. All right, so for the next one, I am going to go ahead and apply a little bit more of this yellow. Okay, actually, I already put it away. Grab it. Look at me putting things away so quickly. Huh. Don't worry, it won't last long. All right, so now, and again, this is a little bit drier. I think most of my sheen is gone, but that's okay. And I can always spritz this again, make it a little bit wetter. And you can see what that kind of does. It made it a little more smooshy, but I love the way it looks. And I do feel like you really can see the difference, okay? I know this one's still a little bit wet, but you sort of see almost like a more dimples, more goosebumps. What can I say? So this one's a little more solid, and this one has a lot more texture. So that's the difference between the cold press and the hot press. And then, of course, I kind of smushed this all up, but you get the idea. And, look, if I don't like the way this looks, which I don't hate it, but I don't totally love it. I could go back in so easily, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it to show you. I'm going to go ahead and smoosh in more color right over the top, the same green gold, and I'm kind of going to lose almost all my detail, okay? And that's okay. One of the reasons I love demoing for you is so you can see the good, the bad, and the ugly. You can see my mistakes. You can see me change things or fix things or redo things. But I think it's always a learning. Now, when this dries, you will still see a little bit of some of that patterning. But since I didn't end up liking it, I can just go right back over. Again, I might not want to do it when it's super wet, which I do still have a little bit of puddling there. But again, I could take another color. I could take my graphite stick. My graphite stick would be fun. I could take, again, maybe some metallic, some gold, or once again, I can just try spritzing with a little bit of my alcohol and pulling some of that color back up again. So you can do it really as many times as you need to. And, oftentimes, some of the things that I struggled with the most, it really comes out fantastic because, and it's what I say, you can't fake the layers. So inadvertently, I end up getting so many more layers than I set out to do, but I end up getting a really nice finished product. So, you don't know. Did that make sense? So, you don't know. All right, so I, again, would probably go back over this because it was a little bit too wet. And, I end up losing a lot of my detail when that happens. For some reason, it seems like my first stamping has consistently been the best, but it's okay. Just do it again and again. See that? It's going to end up being really beautiful when all is said and done. And again, I'm going to have all those layers. And even this is kind of cool because I'm getting like these little patterns in the leaves. And then when I'm all the way done, if I really want to continue, I'm going to blow dry this just a little bit. Just a little. And I'm going to stamp off, okay, and get rid of some of that color again. I'm going to spritz it with my alcohol one more time. And I'm going to keep doing that until I get what I like. And then once this is sort of dry, okay, I could do something like take my watercolor pencils and go in and give some little details, So, just keep being patient with it. Don't, a lot of times, okay, you will come at this and you don't get what you want and you think it's ruined or you think, oh, you're done. Don't be done. Just keep trying it. Like, what's the worst? This is how I look at it. What's the worst thing that can happen is that I end up, if I work on this for even 2 hours or whatever amount of time, and I throw all my inks and my watercolors and my stamp, whatever, and I keep doing it, I'm either going to end up loving it and being like, wow, I'm so happy that I, did this. I loved making it. Or I can say, wow, I can waste this little piece of canvas and say, wow, I spent 2 hours learning what not to do. But generally that's not how it works. So I would like to maybe take a watercolor pencil or a Derwent or Inktense. Let's see, what color should I do? I don't know what I got here. I just grabbed a couple colors. I don't know if they're going to be dark enough or not. Here I have just a watercolor pencil in a dark green, and I have this Inktense Derwent stick or Derwent pencil in a teal green. I can always test over here just to see. Yeah, that'll show up. Both of these will show up. So I could, after all is said and done, go in here. And again, we're still talking watercolor because it's still a watercolor pencil, right? And I can give some little deep, and this isn't dry enough. This is still wet over here, but you get the idea. So if you wanted to, you could go in, and the nice thing is that you have a little more control with your pencil than I did with, say, that other watercolor. So you can really deepen some stuff. And then remember that let me darken it just a little bit more. So since it is watercolor, right? I'm not doing the best job, but you get the idea. Since it is watercolor, you can still go in with your brush, your wet brush, and you can, again, manipulate that and smush that around if you want to. I don't know if I will, I think I would have almost rather colored in, but that's okay. And it's going to take, some time because I'd have to go through the whole thing. But once again, just keep at it, and you'll get some really beautiful pieces that you love and that you can use in your actual artwork, because I love this piece. I really do. And this is just such a fun and easy and generally pretty quick technique. So I hope that you get your Artfoamies out. Yes, Catherine says everything can be recycled into new art, and I do it all the time. Nancy says, I've learned to quit throwing things away that I don't like and keep throwing things on top of it till it improves. Yeah, it's just a process, right? So, and again, I don't love this piece yet, but the same as, and again, don't know if all of you had a chance to see me create this Frida last week. I did finish it during the after party, but I didn't love it until it was done, right? And I think this will even look, I'm going to actually send this to my friend Wendy, and she is going to stitch on it. So super fun, right? Thank you, Amy. Thank you for coming. That's all that I have for you this evening, my friends. I hope that you will head on over to artfoamies.com and use your code to receive 20% off. And also come back next week for another edition of Artfoamies Fun. And remember, we are having a pop-up on July 21st, so be watching for that as well. If you have any questions or thoughts, you know where to find me, and we are going to head over to the after party, so I hope to see you there. Thank you again for coming, and I hope you have a wonderful week. And you know the deal. I'm going to turn this camera on so I can say goodbye to everybody. If you have any questions, please message me. You know where I'm at. Bye, everyone. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay sane, and stay makey. Bye-bye.